The next cupcake in the Pub Sports Radio Top 25 College Basketball Countdown is a cupcake that some people would say, why isn't it just a muffin? Well, I'll say, damn you to hell. I'm glad it's a cupcake. It's the carrot cupcake, a simplistic yet effective and wonderful tasting cupcake, sort of like the Bryant Bulldogs from the Northeast Conference. I'm getting excited. You know why? Because I love Bryant Bulldog basketball. Smithfield, Rhode Island is one of my favorite places in America because Jared Grasso coaches the Bryant Bulldogs there. And when we talk about a team temperature, it's called blistering. It's called don't touch, it's too hot. And this team, with the potential it has on the roster, and then schematic wise, up tempo offense that can slow you down with a 2-3 zone in a full court press. Come on. Then this team hit 76% of their free throws, and the guy that missed a bunch of free throws is gone. Whew, my God. Let's not talk about their explosive form from 3-point and their solid 3-point defense, with a bit of an asterisk because teams did shoot poorly over the zone, and that's not necessarily a guaranteed thing on a year-to-year basis. But this is a Bryant team that has a solid core, an anchor in the middle, and Hal Elias. You know how I like teams that bring back a lot of backcourt scoring and have that dominant big man, aka St. Bonaventure. Well, Bryant, they're even more explosive. They brought in depth. They brought in good recruits. The pick and roll in the half court and the high post passing offense led by Luis Hurtado is amazing. But you know what they even do better? They score in transition. So when you're talking about going from watching Maine to watching Bryant, it's like going from under a bridge to inside an expensive brothel. So when we're talking about betting this Bryant Bulldog team, you know, you could see on the screen the trends definitely pointed towards some interesting ways of betting this team. And I think that I'm just going to go back to what works. The system hasn't changed. The core is coming back. And first half team totals, first half and full game spreads, and full game unders live once we get into the second half. Those are the ways I'll be attacking Bryant. And I think they'll be fucking with their eyes open 101. They'll be teaching a seminar, a class at Bryant University about that. I think that when you look at a player to watch, there's obviously multiple candidates, whether it be Chris Childs, whether it be Hal Elias, whether it be Peter Kiss. But I choose the guy that doesn't get a lot of shine, even though he's probably the best all-around player and the best NBA prospect on the team, and that's Charles Pride. He could be a double-double guy this year. I'm projecting that he's going to be. I'm projecting 14 points per game, 10.1 rebounds per game, and 1.2 steals per game. So those are impressive numbers. Those are all-American type numbers. He's a 3-level scorer. He's a lockdown perimeter option, and he can take out your best perimeter player on a night-to-night basis, and especially in the Northeast Conference. I think that Charles Pride is going to feast, and the Pride of Charles is going to rock out with his cock out. So I chose a game because there's going to be lots of games that we're going to be able to get on Bryant in a variety of different ways. We're going to welcome back Dartmouth to regular Division I basketball. You took a year off because you're too bougie to play during COVID. Well, you get a goddamn dessert. You get a freaking treat. You get to play Bryant at home on November 28th. And you know what's going to happen? Well, hopefully the bookmakers line the game at more than 15 and a half. And 154.5 because we'll be looking to take Bryant. So Bryant is going to be the team that we jump on. Dartmouth is going to be the team that Bryant jumps on. So look out for that line. Look out for the Bryant Bulldogs. Look out for Northeast basketball in general. And of course, get yourself a carrot cupcake. The next cupcake in the Pub Sports Radio Top 25 Cupcake Countdown is a cupcake that I think would taste good on a sunny day, on a rainy day, on a California day. And that's the raspberry cheesecake cupcake. You might ask yourself what team I'm going to be describing with this cupcake and ask me, Max, are you okay? Are you high? Are you drunk? And I would say no to both of those because Cal Poly playing in a San Luis Obispo, California, a place where they're probably stealing Canadian water, is led by Coach John Smith. Yes, I said John Smith. That's his name. I didn't make it up. And John Smith's in his second year. And when I look at Cal Poly and I look at Coach John Smith, I say this is a temperature of a team that I would describe as roasting. And roasting is a good thing. So when you look at Cal Poly, this is a team that did a ton of work on the transfer market. They really improved their rebounding, scoring, and overall talent level, but neglected one of the most important areas of concern for this team, and that is point guard concerns, point guard issues, point guard play. They didn't get a point guard, but they got everything else. So I think that with this Cal Poly team, it's going to be a matter of how fast they build chemistry, um, and just getting over the stigma that they could be as bad as this Cal Poly team was last year. As you can see on the screen, this was a team that was terrible. They were great for underbetters. The master Jedi of unders, Noli knows, probably has this team tattooed on his inner thigh where no one can see it. And I'll tell you this could be a home sleeper team with a strong front court of Amali Kuroma and frickin' Ajani Kennedy. So when I look at this Cal Poly team, I think that they've added two quality spot up shooters in Taylor and Jacob Davison. And I think that you get a strong 3-and-D perimeter defender, Mark Crow, back from injury. You're probably not going to be a complete sieve at the bucket. You're probably not going to be scored on as easy as you were last year. As far as betting, I think that we have to look for home dog spots with the talent upgrade that this team's gone with. And we have to look for a little reversal in some of these totals, especially at home. I think that they may be a little too low early on. We may have to jump on some overs, but I do think eventually once they get into the grit of the Big West Conference season, we do see these numbers start to come back a little closer to my projections, and then we find some home unders to bet Cal Poly with. So obviously, player to watch has to be the player with the most name value, and that's Jacob Davison, coming from Eastern Washington. Don't really know why he chose Cal Poly, but Cal Poly is lucky as hell that he chose them. This is the guy who's a spot up shooter. He's a 35% 3-point shooter career wise, and he's one of the most gifted mid range shooters that I watched in the Big Sky last year. He had a down year there last year, but I think that was more because they were transitioning to Michael Meadows, and Tyler Robertson was operating more in that mid range spot that Davison takes a lot of shots from. I think that the one concern that you have with Jacob Davison is questionable decision making late in games. You do not want this guy handling the ball late in games. I've seen him not realize how much time was on the clock and blow games and blow spreads. And I would not want to be the victim of that, especially with a team like Cal Poly being the administrator of it. When it comes to betting this team, there isn't a ton of spots that really stick out to me, but there was one main spot that really caught my eye, and that was a game November 15th versus Sacramento State. Sacramento State is replacing a lot of talent also, and I do expect them to take a significant step back. But if Cal Poly is less than a 3-point favorite at home, grab it. And if that total is 144 or higher, I would actually be saying to look for the under. So Sacramento State's one of the slowest possession teams in the nation last year. I don't expect that scheme to change this year. So expect them to walk the ball up the floor a lot. And that could be just what we need to keep that under if we get an appropriate number. So Cal Poly, raspberry cheesecake cupcake. It tastes good. And it's Cal Poly. It may not be hazardous to your health this year.